So this is going to go over the project, and then some of the details and more intricate things will happen later. I'm going to give you some examples and then show you how to set it up. These are a few examples from students who have gotten really into it. Don't think yours has to be exactly like this, because sometimes people get really into the details, and that's okay. But the basic idea is that you are going to make a city. You're going to create a city. It should have a horizon line. It's going to be your choice if you have it up high, if you have it low, or in the middle. We'll talk that through. You do need to have a horizon line. You need to have a vanishing point, and all of the lines should go to that vanishing point. So when you look at this a little more closely, notice that this elevated train, all these track lines go here. All the edges of these buildings, this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, all of these are going to go back to here. So every edge of the building, the sidewalk, the roads, everything is going to go here. The beauty of one-point perspective, remember, is that every line you draw is either going to angle towards the point, the vanishing point, or it will be straight up and down or horizontal. So every line you make is either going to be parallel to the horizon line, perpendicular to the horizon line, or it will angle. You never have to guess where things are going to go to. So let's look at a couple other examples, give you a feel for it. Once again, somebody who got really into this project, you do not have to have all these details, but if you're having fun with it and you want to go for it, then that's great. If you look at it, you have the horizon line and the vanishing point. So remember that as things go above the horizon line, these edges of these buildings are going to angle here. When you get below the horizon line, the sidewalks, the bottom of the buildings, the top of the buildings, because this is below horizon line, so we're seeing the top of it, this edge, all of these lines that are, maybe like glass in the side of the building, all of these lines, they go to the vanishing point. So remember that if it's below the horizon line, it'll angle up, and then as we get even, and then switch, as you start angling up above the horizon line, these will start angling down to there. But all the other lines, the verticals, they're all perpendicular to the horizon line. All of these lines, horizontal. So we'll go through the actual how to do that in just a second. So notice all the details, once again, they are all going to the horizon line. They hid the horizon line a little bit behind this building back here, but you can see some really nice details. But the basic construction, don't get overwhelmed by this. You can kind of see the vanishing point right here. So if you think about it, we said we start with the face. So you have this line, and then this goes to the vanishing point, this goes to the vanishing point, all these lines. So all these details can be broken back down to that one formula. So before you start, I highly encourage thinking through what we call some thumbnail sketches. Thumbnail sketches are small versions of what you're going to do. So this is, like my paper, right? So what I need to figure out is my scale and my horizon line, and, am I going to have a realistic looking city? Am I going to have skyscrapers? Do I want my city to look like it's in outer space? I have to think through some different elements. So this is an example of maybe I have a low horizon line, here's my vanishing point, and a rough sketch. You don't have to do this with the T-square. Maybe I have a skyscraper that, I want all these lines, So then if I have this skyscraper, let's say, right, what else? You can't just have one building. Do I have another building that's smaller behind it here? Do I have a street? So if this is a vanishing point, then, do I want to have a sidewalk kind of coming? Think about scale. On this thumbnail sketch, it's not so important, but this can't be this big. Let's say if this is a skyscraper, a person's going to be maybe like this big. Okay? So as you're thinking through scale, if a person's this big, then your sidewalk your gutter can't really be, quite that big. So part of this is to think through scale. Maybe if this is how big not that you have to draw people, but you have to think about for doors. If this is how big your sidewalk is, then this isn't a skyscraper anymore. So you have to think these through so that it makes sense. Maybe you have something more like this. If this is your building, if this is my doorway, and once again, like this would be how a person would fit in the doorway, then does this make sense, like for where the roof would be, or would this need to be a little bit higher? Here, maybe this is how big my building or house is. Or then you just make your doorway smaller. But once again, you have to think through these ideas. This is a low horizon. This is a high horizon, so you're looking down at the tops. This one you're looking up at the skyscrapers. This is one that the horizon line is in the middle. So maybe I have, this is my building. Maybe this is my sidewalk. Okay, another building over here. Let's make it that big. Okay, so if my vanishing point is over here, maybe I'm looking straight at them. So you have to think through these things. Do you want to do this vertically? You can do it vertically. Maybe you have it here, so you can make a big building here. Figure out where, if you're going to have a sidewalk, not that you have to. All right? Maybe you want to do it, set it up that way. So go through some thumbnail sketches, figure out a little bit of what you want to do and where you're going to put the horizon line and all that. So that way, when you get to the actual project, you're just off and running.